My name is Robert Thomas Howell. My usual name is Bob, B-O-B, H-O-W-E-L-L, Executive Director of the SAMARKAND at Santa Barbara.
As people drive up and into this community, you see all the beautiful flowering trees, the palm trees, and it's just beautiful grounds or whatever. But how would you describe this community overall?
The SAMARKAND is a very distinct community in that it reflects Santa Barbara. It reflects the coast, central coast of California. It does that externally through the flora and the fauna, the Spanish motif that we have, but also eclectically through our residents and staff. They bring such a diversity of lifestyles and experiences that collectively really put together a unique community. People who have been in business, people who have been educators, pastors, and their families create this very unique community within Southern California that sees itself as part of what we're doing, part of Southern California, but distinctly different and special.
Okay, I just did that because that thing was flapping away there. When you talk about being part of the community, clearly the SAMARKAND has a pretty rich history.
Yes. In
Santa Barbara. In a nutshell, what is that?
Well, the SAMARKAND, the name comes from a hotel that was initiated, kind of those movie stars from Hollywood wanted a place to get away, and Santa Barbara and the climate made it a very easy place to access. So it began as this beautiful hotel with this motif of kind of the Mid-Eastern motif, and we continue to see these blue urns, and you can just imagine the bellboys with their shoes with the turned up toes, and they had this brand. Well, through the Depression and other things, it went bankrupt, and it became many other things, even a part of the U.S. military during World War II. But 60 years ago, the citizens of the Santa Barbara area said, we need to have a senior community. So they gathered together and they saw this hotel, purchased it, and reconstructed it into a senior community. 10 years later, they went bankrupt. They didn't understand the business plan. And that's when Covenant Retirement Communities purchased the SAMARKAND, and it became part of the Covenant system as one of our key retirement communities of the 15 that now exist in the U.S. So we have a long and rich heritage of being part of CRC, but also a longer and richer heritage, you might say, of being part of Santa Barbara and the community here.
So being part of the community means clearly you employ a lot of people and a lot of people live here.
I can't go anywhere that somebody doesn't say, I have worked there, or, my grandmother lived there. And the experiences and the stories that they share with me of the people who have been connected to this community over the years are just extraordinary. It's not a big town. We're probably somewhere, 150,000, and it's kind of an island. We've got two, a road in, a road out, and one over the pass. So the people who are born and live here really are connected with the universities. People will come, and again, many stories that I hear figure out a way to get back to Santa Barbara because they had such a good experience here. And that's part of the uniqueness of who we are, I think, is that people like to move here to retire. So we have really a nice balance between those people in our primary market area that have lived here their whole lives and just kind of say, okay, it's time to move here, and people who come from the Midwest or Central California or Northern California or different places and have family or friends, or just said, if I want to retire anywhere in the world, Santa Barbara is where I would want to retire. And the SAMARKAND is always one of those on the top of their list to explore if the community meets their needs, and we can create a very special living place for them as they age and grow in the years to come.
How is being part of the CRC system beneficial to both residents and staff?
Well, I can't tell you how many times I tell people that we are the perfect blend. We reflect Santa Barbara. We are their culture. We reflect the city, the motif, so that there's no other senior community that looks or feels like we do. But because we're connected to a national organization, one that can see that big picture of where senior living is going, we're able to really get on the forefront of the issues, the things that are going to matter, that are going to make a difference in the lives of our residents and our future residents, and help them prepare for what those issues. There's a lot of things that are going on in the world, in Washington, D.C., in our case, Sacramento, that are going to impact how we think about aging. And as a national organization in 4 time zones, we just have a perspective that nobody else does. And we bring this to this campus and mesh it with our culture and allow that to be in balance with the community that we live in. And I just think that's a really nice blend.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. How important is it to be a faith-based community and a not-for-profit? And does that really make a difference for the folks who are thinking about moving here, or even for those who live here already?
It makes a difference for me, because the mission is one of the reasons that I'm here. That's faith-based, that we are owned as part of the Evangelical Covenant Church. But I think as a resident comes, no matter where they are on their faith journey, it gives us a foundation for our mission. It gives us a reason why we do what we do. We're not just about making money. We're not just about creating a senior living place for XYZ, but we're about helping people go through this journey of life. And that since the foundation really reflects our faith, that gives them an added resource that I don't think any other community can give them. And we balance that with people who are part of the church or are not part of the church, and that really gives us some of the richness that that a community really needs. Some people are seekers, some people are more mature on their journey, and it just it does create a nice dynamic of growth. And we want to be a healthy organization where people can grow and continue just to be challenged and stimulated no matter what part of their life they find themselves in.
And I guess we saw part of that today just in shooting some of the video of the folks doing the cyber cycle and the fitness center.
Yeah, isn't that fun?
And just sitting around and socializing. So part of the whole CRC philosophy is the Life Connect and SIDO and Inspired to Serve. How does that all play in?
There's a number of ways that it plays in. One is alignment. That we as an organization understand our mission and our goals, and we're aligning to achieve that. So that's kind of that big picture. It helps me as the executive director set priorities, because you can't do everything. But we want to do is Inspired to Serve. We want to be a world-class customer service organization, and it gives us the tool to accomplish that, so that when somebody thinks about coming to the SAMARKAND, they know that customer service is number one. When you think about Life Connect, I tell residents, we are not going to put programs together and then put you in a box and make you participate in that. We want to find out who you are, what you do, what excites you, and then connect you with other people that have similar likenesses and passions, because that's what gives you a growth opportunity and a healthy community. And SIDO, we're just so excited about that on this campus, because it's that one thing that's non-pharmaceutical, but we see it make a difference in the lives of people. It helps them get to that level of cognitivity that they might not be able to achieve, and it brings together staff and residents and families in a dynamic way that I've never seen take place before. So we're doing something positive. People are participating, and it's making a difference in the lives of people who have just a very terrible disease. Dementia is something that, as you know, impacts about one person out of every two that are 85, 86 years old. And we just see this as something that...
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry to... I know you're saying
Hey,
some good stuff.
Pam, you need to move out of the way. Your moving just really distracts me. I kept seeing her go back and forth. And just
Tripping me nuts.
trying to concentrate.
Yeah, this is fine right now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Okay. Sorry.
Excuse me. So, the terrible disease that affects people.
Yeah, so you take the population of the United States, one out of every two people that are 85, 86 years old are going to have dementia. And it's a regressive disease that basically robs your soul, robs your personality. And this is an intervention that doesn't reverse it, but allows people to regain some of their Christolic memory, the things that make them them, and allows us to have them participate in life once again in a way that they did not have before. So it's a balance of relationships, some pharmaceutical, but it really does allow us to make a difference in the lives of the residents who have chosen to call our community home.
They call it home. Some people have just moved in 5-6 months ago. Other people have been here for years. What's that relationship like between staff and residents?
You know, it's special. I mean, when we have exit interviews with our staff, the one thing they always say is that the relationship with residents was the very best part of their job. And it's kind of, I like it to a restaurant.
That's my question. Location. We good? Okay.
So it's like with staff and residents, if you operate a restaurant, somebody will come in occasionally and have a meal with you. But we're having a meal with them, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We build these relationships. Oftentimes staff see our residents as grandma and grandpa, depending on the generational difference. Or they become a peer that helps them think through issues of life. And our residents, and through our different programs like Inspired to Serve or CITO or Life Connect, really help our residents live at the highest level that they choose to live at. And it's almost a prosthetic, in that if you lose a leg, you get a prosthetic and you're able to walk. What we want to do is to give them a prosthetic as you age and you lose certain faculties. We can help you grow and offset some of those, so again, you can live as full a life and a healthy as life as possible. And that's what we want. We want a very healthy community.
Your community is got a great location. You've got views of the mountains, close to healthcare and that sort of thing. Describe that for me.
Yeah, it's, you know, when they chose this location in 1913, they never knew that the city would grow around them. But you can literally walk to the hospital if you need to. It's less than a mile away. You can walk up to Trader Joe's or have a cup of coffee up on De La Vida, and the mall is just another mile and a half. I mean, the location is great, and yet you don't feel like you're in a city. We're enough on a hill in a kind of buffeted by a residential community that it feels almost internal in terms of the community and how we interact, but we're also very much part of what goes on in Santa Barbara. So if there's a big bike race like there is today, we have access to that because it's 10 minutes away. And traffic's never a problem. The streets, you know, are pretty clear most of the time. So access to events, to the ocean. I love going to the ocean. And literally, I can drive down the street and be there in 7 minutes. Have a nice dinner, overlooking the ocean, hearing the waves, seeing the dolphins. And yet the other part, I can just move up to the mountains. San Marcos Pass is 2,000 feet. Total different kind of environment. Get over the other side to San Ynez Valley. That's where all the wine is grown. I mean, it's just a whole different kind of temperament. They call this the American Riviera because it's the only coast and mountain range in North America that goes east and west. And because of that, it develops a climate that is about 74 degrees all year round with sunshine. And it is a great place to live because it's always a beautiful day in Santa Barbara.
Perfect. Thank you. Can't go wrong with that. Love it. We're good.